Hello, we are back. Eugene and Andrea here, still talking about what's Black love got to do with it. And the answer is still everything.
What's Black love got to do with it? Please, family, go to webuildlegacy.com and download your free resource. What's Black love got to do with it? And don't forget to visit our Facebook page. Our YouTube page. We Build Legacy. We would love for you to subscribe and hit the notification buttons to remind you when we're posting our next set of videos. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, great people, great civilizations. I mean, really, great people, great civilizations. That's what we're about to talk about. Let's talk on the other side of it.
Great people, great civilizations. The irony is that while the US and some European countries have spent centuries promoting their superiority over those who have any trace of African blood, they have not applied that rationale to matters that surround ancient African civilizations like Egypt. Of these African empires and kingdoms, they have asserted that the greatness of their civilizations could only come from outside the continent of Africa. Or more commonly, they state that they were not Black Africans or real Africans, but mixed race, and that is why they were able to amass such greatness in their societies. Stating that mixing with other races of people improves the Black race to the point that they could establish one of the greatest kingdoms in recorded history, while at the same time stating that one drop of African blood makes a person inferior and less than human, is evidence of cognitive dissonance in those that seek to push these perspectives forward. Critically thinking individuals should question any scholar that has a problem acknowledging the contributions of Africans based on race, ethnicity, or religion. These same standards are not upheld in other countries and contexts. For example, Africans invaded the Iberian Peninsula in 711 AD and occupied parts of Spain for almost 800 years. That is more than 3 times the length of time that the U.S. has been a sovereign nation. Yet today, little credit is given toward the strong Muslim influence in daily life, trade, and architecture in Spain that allowed the area to prosper while the rest of Western Europe was passing through the Dark Ages. These same individuals still declare the United States of America to be a white nation, even though the status has only been maintained because the race category on the US Census has been continually updated since 1790. As a result, some people groups that would not have been considered white in the US less than 100 years ago are now, regardless of their physical appearance. This includes Italians, Greeks, North Africans, Middle Easterners, Jewish people, Latinos, etc. Additionally, up until 1965, great efforts were made to maintain the Western European majority of racial composition in the country by means such as the 1924 National Origins Act. Any great civilization involved in trade and commerce will be influenced by those they interact with. And as different ethnicities intermarry, cultures will begin to blend. As great scientific minds, scholars, artisans, and others exchange ideas, new procedures are developed, practiced, and intertwined. The same happens today in the US as people migrate to the country and use their skills. Any accomplishments or discoveries are still credited to those sovereign nations, which has been the practice for thousands of years around the world. None of the presumed influence of other ethnicities and cultures have been used to undermine the accomplishments of contemporary sovereign nations, such as Spain or the United States of America. Likewise, people of African descent should apply resistance toward those who would attempt to minimize the influence of Africans in ancient civilizations, cultures, and scientific advancements simply because of their interactions and affiliations with outside people groups.
Guys, we're very thankful again that you're here with us to begin to speak on this particular topic, great people, great civilizations. And a lot went through my mind as Dr. Andrea was reading through this excerpt. And one was that, when are we going to get tired of going around the same, if not roller coaster, hamster wheel of dealing with being not only just lied to, but where laws and rules can change at will to benefit one people group. And I guess, when I say that, I'm not saying that to be divisive or negative, but as a researcher and observer and a thinker, a lifelong learner, it would, I guess, begin to draw questions in me when I'm dealing with people not necessarily that may look different than me, but people that might hold different beliefs. And for me to say, okay, why do I believe the way I believe? And to, just begin to explore. And I think the greatest place to start and explore is at one's indigenous ancestral culture. I mean, you can go and explore, anything or whatever, but I believe that, your truth comes if you're Native American or some Indian, Asian, to begin and start right there. And so we encourage young Black folks, we encourage Black people to start at your place of origin. Africa is such an amazing continent full of diversity, full of riches, full of abundance, natural resources that still today are abundant across the world.
Exactly.
So
I had some thoughts.
Go ahead.
And mine is basically, when I was writing this part, I really was hoping that people would understand what I was saying. And the gist of it is, whenever the rules are just whatever people want them to be, just like you just said. So for Africa, the greatness always has to come from without. It's always because of this people, and that's because of that people. But look at America, a land full of immigrants,
Teach.
And no one takes their sovereignty away and says that's not American or that's not whatever. If they have if there's a great achievement, oh, that's the country of whatever. Look what they created. Look what they did. Look whatever. But when it comes to Africa, oh no, that could never be. And it's such contradiction, because if having a drop of black blood makes you inferior, then it seems that Egypt and none of the rest of the places should have ever happened. Because you said blackness is inferior.
Talk about it, Dr.
It doesn't
Mason.
make sense. Question that foolishness. It doesn't make sense. Well, they were mixed blacks. Okay. Can I talk about your light skin? I'm just saying, what? We're all mixed race over here. What, is it based on who can tell you're mixed race? I know people that have more African blood than me, that are lighter than me, have a different hair texture than me. Stop it.
You know what? And please understand us that we're not jumping on the color bandwagon of what's black and what's white and what's this and what's that. Guys, come on and walk with us in a spirit of truth. We don't want to paint a picture of being shallow, but what we do want to do is paint a picture to have you as an individual to be a person that is not fearful to question things that may not appear right to you. Okay,
That's it.
Color, yeah, color and diversity is important. Not just the color of your skin. We're just talking about the diversity as it relates to your ethnicity. And what,
you know what I heard someone say once? She said, at a certain point, it's not so much being a person of color. It's about being a person of culture where the discrimination is. It's like the diversity of cultures, because you can go across the African continent and see a diversity of cultures.
Yes.
You can look at, like we were talking about, Western and Eastern Europe, and you can see a diversity of cultures.
Yes.
So while in the United States, most of the time what we're dealing with literally is the color thing. Okay?
And you know what else is I want you guys not to fall prey to is the phrase, I don't see color.
Oh God, you really want to start something.
Now, please don't let me go first.
Okay.
And then you can follow up.
Just don't use my example. Because if you use mine, you know I'm gonna be upset.
That's right. If I do, you can cut me off.
Okay.
They give you permission to cut me off.
Okay, good.
My whole thing is that when you hear somebody saying, hey, color doesn't matter, my example is the nature and world that surrounds us. If color didn't matter to God, or diversity didn't matter to God, then the universe that he's created and all its complexities would not be important. And so when you hear someone say that, say color does matter. And this all, this doesn't matter to me is an insult, because of the diversity that we're surrounded, the butterflies, the trees, the sky, the oxygen that we breathe in, the dirt from which, we have crops. All of this diversity forms a system that enables us to live and create and procreate. The diversity, the color is important. Some people use that particular vernacular because they don't want to deal with the truth of what's facing them as it related to their ancestry and what they did into the world. So therefore, color is not important to them. Color is important. More importantly, culture, like Dr. Mason just said, is important.
The example that I always use as an educator, and when I've had these conversations on social media, and there's a very well-meaning white woman who might be like, I've never taught my kids to this, I've never that or the other. First of all, I've seen children, and I'm always aware of children that have never interacted with a person with deeply melanated skin. I'm very, very clear about it, because there's a certain way that they interact. There's a certain way that they stare. It looks strange to them, and you can tell when little children are not accustomed to it. But one of the things that I say to these mothers, and I've been in these different groups, I'm like, okay, so listen, one of the very first things that we teach our children, I'm a homeschool mom, remember I homeschool my children, and I said, one of the first things you teach them is to distinguish between colors. You do that. You let them, you teach them colors, you let them choose the color shoes and the color socks and the color barrettes and the color whatever that they want, the color shirt. What color do you want? To then look at my skin and say, you can't see my color, means you don't see me. It means you're not recognizing me. You're not acknowledging me, and that's insulting. That's slightly offensive. If you are saying that you do not judge people based on that, that's another thing. But this little cute, I don't see color thing, that's hogwash, as the fourth grade substitute said when I thought she was cussing. That's hogwash. I told my mom that she said hogwash. I thought it sounded bad to me. So, but listen, when it comes to not, who doesn't want to be seen? I'm running around. Look at this. Look at these colors behind us. Colors mean something. Very, very particular to different people. They have symbolism in any flag. Colors mean something. They carry energy. They're people that see auras and colors around people to just make yourself feel good, or for a person to make themselves feel good by saying, I don't see color. We're gonna let that go. All right.
Hey guys, please go to webuildlegacy.com and don't forget to download your free resource, What's Black Love Got to Do with It, so that you can join yours truly, Dr. Andrea Little Mason, and me, myself, Eugene Mason, as we continue on this wonderful journey of Black love.
Yes.
What's Black love
got to do with
got to do with it?
everything.